Hey everyone, Melissa here. Hopefully it's not too echoey in here. We recently moved from a house to an apartment, so we haven't quite got rugs or anything up, so everything seems like it's echoey, but I don't think it's as bad as we think. I do have Gus here. He is now become an indoor cat permanently, and we've been here for a little over a week, and he seems to be doing pretty well. He may be a little chatty later. So far, the only thing he's not fond of is when the heater vent comes on. He cries like he's sad or like something is really wrong. And I'm like, that's the vent, it's fine. But he just goes to the bathroom and stares at it the whole time it's on until I turn it off. So that could be something in the winter. We'll see. Hopefully by then he'll be okay. But right now he's not feeling that heater. If you wanted to check out more about Gus, I actually decided to start an Instagram account for him as he becomes an indoor cat and how things are going and just, cute cat things. Because, there's so much of that out there, but cats are cute, so screw it. So I have an account out there for Gus if you want to follow him on Instagram. He's on under the name A Sweet Cat Named Gus. So a sweet cat and then Named and then Gus. All lowercase letters. So a sweet cat named Gus. Check him out on Instagram. So yeah, guys, this coronavirus thing, it's a bit intense. So I thought I'd come back and just kind of do something for fun. I mean, I'm still going to be working on other Tales from the Crypt episodes and putting episodes up on YouTube. Right now I'm at the apartment unpacking, things like that, staying inside when I can. We'll see how things go with my job, my day job or whatever. Right now, still kind of up in the air what's going to happen with that, if I got to stay home or not. So basically, I just want to make sure everyone's okay. Hope everyone's good. Everyone good. It's a little freaky. I think it's a smart move if this thing is spreading as fast as they're saying. Why not hunker down for a couple weeks to a month, and then hopefully that diminishes whatever intensity this is going to have. But we'll see. Everything's changing day to day. That's what's a little crazy about it. So yeah, everyone good? Everyone okay? Great. I hope so. Make smart choices. Be safe. Wash your dang hands. I've definitely realized with this that 20 seconds is kind of a long time. I've taken to thinking about the Golden Girls theme song in my head while I do it. So then I'm kind of like wiggling a little bit, at the sink, like, washing my hands and stuff. So that kind of helps. Or pick another song you like. The birthday song's a little overdone. So I like to pick something a little more fun. Don't hoard things. That's not good either. That doesn't help anybody. It's all going to be okay. We just got to figure all this out. So things I'm hoping to be doing, as this goes on, because it's easy to fall back into just being lazy. I'm going to unpack, get everything here situated. I'm going to get back into yoga again, I think. I haven't done that in years, and it's something I can do in the house, especially now that we have a little more space in this apartment, and we have hardwood floors now, so it's a little more of a flat surface for my yoga mat. And there's tons of things online and things you can look up to do. A lot of people are reaching out to each other. That's great. I'm also going to get back into reading. I got a couple books I'm going to read, a couple shows I want to binge watch. I was thinking about getting into like Schitt's Creek and a couple of like more comedy type shows to get into, as much as I love horror and all that, which I will be talking about in a bit. It's nice to just kind of sit back with something that's kind of fun, lighthearted. Or maybe it's not as lighthearted as I think. I don't know. I hear it's hilarious, so we'll see. And again, uploading old episodes of the Good Evening Kitties podcast on YouTube. That's what I plan on doing too. I'm going to, check in on friends and family using Skype or Zoom or email. With technology today, it's not hard to reach out to people. So, you got, like I said, Skype, Zoom, email, phone. You can write a letter. You can send a carrier pigeon. You could send a fox. I don't know if those last two would make it, but you could try. Think of something you want to try that you haven't done before. Learn a new language. I don't know. So I thought instead of doing just a movie review of a movie that I hadn't seen before and I wouldn't be sure if I'd like it, I thought I'd talk about a movie that I love. A movie that's definitely in my top 5 of like zombie or zombie-ish type movies. And that movie, if you haven't noticed by the title of this review, is 2016's Train to Busan.
저기요, 이상한 사람이 하나 타고 있는 것 같은데.
팀장님, 여기 11호차 응급 환자 발생했습니다.
뭐야? 안에 널려 있다니까. 우리 그냥 이것들 달고 부산으로 갑시다 바로. 지금 몇 호칸? 전화 끝나면 들어간다. 당신들 봐. 지금 무슨 일이 벌어지고 있는지 몰라? 우리 열차는 더 이상 부산으로 운행할 수가 없게 됐습니다.
Fantastic movie. I've seen it at least twice, if not 3 times. And it's a really great movie. It's a wild ride. It's a rush. It's sad. It's emotional. It's a bit gory. It's a little crazy, and I'm not always into like the fast zombies that can run over each other, and it seems impossible the way that they do that. Like in World War Z, it's annoying sometimes on how they can just kind of run each other over. It's not as well in Train to Busan. It's done a lot better, at least visually, and there's a couple scenes I'll get to with that. But it's basically, you know, an infection type movie. If you haven't seen it yet and you like that kind of stuff, definitely check it out. So here we go. A lot of this information I'm getting off of Wikipedia just to kind of keep it going in my head so I don't end up rambling all over the place like I do sometimes. So I'm going to kind of go off of that a little bit. So Train to Busan is a 2016 South Korean action horror film directed by Sang-hwa, which I probably pronounced that wrong, and starring Gong-yoo, Jung, Yumi, and Ma Dong-seok. I'm sorry if I pronounced any of those wrong. It's basically a movie on a train. What's great about it is it sets that tension of not knowing what you're going to run into at each station. So people are keeping track with their loved ones and things through phones, and when everything hits the fan, they're just getting onto the train. They're safe as long as they're on the train, for at least for a little bit, and then it's just all over. Another thing I'd like about the movie before I get started here is that they really don't use any guns. It's mostly like melee weapons and like things that they've created, or bats and things like that. It's not until the very end that you see guns, and that's only from the military. Train to Busan lasts 118 minutes. It doesn't feel like that. Gus, are you crying? I already told them about your Instagram. I know. You're still getting used to here, huh? You gonna be good? Do you like Train to Busan? Anywho, like I said, 118 minutes for the movie. The budget was $8.5 million, and the box office brought in $90.6 million. I think it's still on Netflix. So if you want to go watch the movie right now, I'll wait. Be sure to put it on subtitles. Don't dub it. It's not, no, subtitles all the way. So I'll wait. Go ahead. Okay, welcome back. Good, I'm glad you've seen it. Now we can talk about it a little bit. So here's the plot. So there's this guy, and he's a fund manager and a dad, and he's separated from his wife. So it all starts out like setting up this one main family, and then you'll meet other characters along the way. He works all the time. He's a bad father. He misses like his daughter's recital. He gets her the wrong birthday gift that she already had. I think it was like an Xbox or something. Gets her, she already had it. She lives with her grandmother part-time, and then sees her mom some of the other time while they're separated. And I guess the daughter's probably like 10 or so. And she's really great. The girl that plays her, she's a great character. I really enjoyed the daughter. She's a tough girl, and she does a good job in it. So it's her birthday, and so she's like, I hate being with you, Dad. You are a bad dad. Can I go see my mom in Busan? I could take the train by myself. And he's like, well, that's, I'll take you to Busan to go see your mom. So it kind of gets into like their relationship a little more with him and his issues with his wife, and talking to, I think it's his mother that they live with. I mean, that would make sense, I guess. His mother. And so, yeah, so then, the next morning, they leave to go get on this train to Busan, and they're heading down to the station, and they hear a little bit of stuff on the radio, but it's nothing crazy of like things happening, and maybe like a couple checkpoints with people like blocked off, but they're not really thinking anything of it. And so they board a train called the KTX-101, and there's other passengers that get on there that we'll learn about them a little later. I'll just kind of run through them real quick. There's a guy, Sang-hwa, which I'm pretty sure I pronounced wrong too, and his pregnant wife. There's a high school baseball team. There's some elderly sisters that are there, that they're pretty cool. There's a traumatized homeless man who has seen some stuff, so he can't quite say what it is, but he knows something's coming. Yeah, and there's just like there's a guy there that's really selfish that nobody likes. We'll get to him later too. So it's all these people. So the train's getting ready to leave, And the attendants are like, okay, get on, let's go. And then the homeless man gets on there and locks himself in the bathroom. And he's just in shock. And what I love about this is, like, the trains get ready to depart. And I love it because it just kind of creeps up on you in a way. So, like, this young woman who's been infected runs onto the train. No one really notices her. She's not feeling well. Everyone's just like, get on the train. It's time to leave. You know, they're locking up the doors. And she gets on, like, at the last minute. But she doesn't look good. Like, you can tell something's wrong. And I believe there's even a scene that right when the train's pulling away in the very beginning, it's like 20 minutes in or so, that's when you see that there's like some other people running into the station. So it's like they just missed it. They just missed all of this going down. And you know, they're safe on the train and they have no idea yet, because this woman is patient zero on this train, is this young woman who's sick. So what I love about the zombies on here, or the creatures or whatever, is their erratic movements that they do in this movie is really fun. Like, they're kind of bending like almost painfully and jerky, and it's really fun to see, like, the way that, you know, makes all these crack noises and stuff. So the train takes off and the young woman turns into a zombie, and, you know, she's all acting all weird and cracked up and like bending her neck all weird, and the one attendant comes over and she's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And right away she bites her. So now you got two, and they turn fast. So it's like you get bit and you're like, you know, it's almost like immediate or like pretty close. But I mean, for the most part, it doesn't take that long. So then they're loose, right? So all these different carts are starting to get attacked, and they have these doors in between each train that kind of like you can seal off, you know? And so that comes in a lot of help later with helping them to seal off a lot of things. It's going crazy a little bit on the train. Not everyone knows. They keep hearing reports on their phones, things like that, but it's nothing, no one's really like super worried. The main guy, the dad, gets a call from like a coworker of his or something, and saying something weird's going on. He gets a weird call from his mother before she like turns or something, because she makes all these like growly noises on the end of the phone. So it's like everything's going weird. So everyone in the train is starting to turn into zombies in certain carts. Not in the carts that the guy is in there with his daughter, but other carts. So one of the carts holds a whole baseball team of young, I'd say they're probably in high school. You know, they're probably like seniors in high school or so. And there's a baseball player there. He's kind of a shy guy. And he's there with one of the cheerleaders, and he really likes her. And they're all stuck in there, and they see that everything's going down, and they all, you know, it's kind of a cool scene where like all the zombies take out a lot of the baseball players, and then you feel for the kids because it's like they have to kill and hurt people that were on their team that they're like, we're talking to them, and now they're turned. So him and her, the baseball player and the cheerleader, escape to another car and lock the doors. So now the news are like really broadcasting it. They're making announcements over the train. It's quickly becoming a pandemic. Very quickly. Military is trying to contain it, but it's not quite working. So as they're going on and they're trying to get through the train, and they're having to go through the train and like block people off, and they're trying to keep the zombies in one train and block them off, they learn that they're very reliable on their sight. And they learn that in one way where they start like taking water or something, and they stick newspapers to the glass of the window of the door. It's funny because it's like as immediately as it's covered, the zombies are like, what? No one's there. Oh, no one's there. And they just like calm down, even though they could probably hear them. They hear some sound, but it's mostly sight. Because even when they go through like a tunnel at one point and it goes pitch black, they all freeze. So, I mean, at least you got that. So they're using that to their advantage, you know, cell phone noise, things like that, to try to corral them into different trains and block it off. So then the train stops at Daejeon Station. Again, I apologize for the pronunciation. So this place is kind of cool. The surviving passengers find that the city is overrun by these zombies, right? So they show up at this station. They go in the station, and there's like no one there. And they're walking around, and there's like this whole military unit, you know, government, military people that have turned, and they start chasing them down like the broken down escalators and running around. And they're like, there's this part where they like break through a whole big glass door, and it's a lot of tension, and it's really fun. And there's one scene where I always kind of laugh, because there's a scene where I'm like, that's where I would get taken out. They're trying to get back onto the train. So they're like, everyone's screwed. We need to get back on the train. Forget picking up people here. There are no people. So they're all running down these broken escalators or whatever. And it's the one of the young guys from like, I think the baseball team is running and not looking behind him. And from the side of the building, there's a couple of zombies running. And as soon as he runs and he clears that spot, they just jump on him and take him out. And I'm like, yep, that would be how I would go. I wouldn't even be paying attention. I'd just be running, and there would just be like a lion and a gazelle just taking me out. So that one's kind of fun. Like there's a lot of scenes of them like they're taking off with the train, and they're like, grab my hand, you know, and like trying to like get on there. And there's like the jerky guy, you know, showing how much of a jerk he is. He's like this business guy that wants to just leave everyone behind and things like that. So they get back on the train. And now they've kind of split up into different train cars. So they're all a little separated because they're just get on a train. We got to get out of here. So now they're taking the train still to Busan, where they hear there's a quarantine zone that they can get to. As long as they can get to Busan, hopefully, to be fine. So the baseball player and the dad and the guy with the pregnant wife. The guy with the pregnant wife seems a bit of a jerk, but he ends up having kind of a heart of gold. Like, he's a little irritable with everyone, but he's really sweet in a way. And he does fight a lot with, alongside the dad character a lot in, a good way. So the three of them are like, we got to get to the pregnant wife and the little girl. So the pregnant wife and the little girl and one of the older ladies and the homeless man are all separated from these three. So the dad's like, I got to get to my little girl. They're like, we got to start moving through these cars. So it's pretty cool because it's like you got to go through each car, and some have not that many zombies. And then they get to a couple that do. Like, there's one that was the baseball team. The young baseball player is kind of like, I know all these people, this is horrible. And this is where they really use the sight and sound to their ability. They have to crawl up on the holders of your luggage to crawl past them. They wait for the train to go through so it's dark. They throw a baseball to kind of distract them. Whatever they can, because there's so many in there. There's no way that they're going to get through. They even take magazines and duct tape them to their arms so they can put it in their mouth, and hit them because they don't have guns. So it's just all this, you have to just beat them and push them out of the way. So they finally get through all that and they get to everyone. So everyone's back being reunited. There's a lot of hiding in bathrooms. And there's also a train car that had the selfish guy and other people who wouldn't let them in. So they get to where all the other passengers are sheltered. Now so the 7 of them are all back together now. So you got the dad, you got the daughter, you got the guy and his pregnant wife, you got the baseball player, you got the old lady, and the homeless man. So they're all coming to this train car that has the selfish dude in it and a bunch of other people who have survived. And they're all the baseball player is like, oh my gosh, open the door, oh my gosh, they're right behind us. And they're like, no, you're infected. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm not, just let us in, They're taking too long. So because of that, the guy with the pregnant wife ends up sacrificing himself so that the other guy can get back to his little girl. And he's like, hey, watch, take care of my wife. Because he was trying to hold them back with the door with the magazines or whatever on his arms, and he gets bit, and you can see as he's fighting it, his eyes are turning, and he's starting to turn, but he's trying to hold him off as long as he can. And it's kind of a sad moment. He shouts out the name of what he wants to name his little baby girl when she's born, and he doesn't make it. So the 6 of them get back into this car with the selfish guy, and the dad guy is pissed, because he's like, that shouldn't have happened. You could have let us in. The pregnant lady's freaking out because now her husband's gone. After they finally let the people into that train car, they still want them to isolate themselves away from everyone. So they put them in the vestibule and hold them back or whatever. And what that does is end up saving them, because the old lady sees that her sister has turned and decides she wants to be with her and no one's watching her. And she goes over and opens the door and just lets all the zombies in, and they're all trapped in there because they kicked everyone out into the vestibule. All the other people die, except for the selfish guy and a train attendant. They both get trapped in the bathroom. So they're both in the bathroom, which are super tiny, and they're in there, and everyone else is dead because no one was watching the old lady, and she didn't care no more. She was like, my sister's dead, screw it. So now the dad and the daughter and the pregnant lady and the baseball player, and he's also got reunited with his girlfriend, so she's okay, the baseball player's girlfriend, the cheerleader, and the homeless man are all safe. So now they're still going along, the train's still moving along. There's a blocked track now up ahead at this train station. So now they have to stop and find another train. And I love the train conductor guy. He's fantastic. He's kept a cool head this whole time, trying to send out supportive messages through everything. He fights through being terrified to find another train for everyone to get out of here. He gets off the train, he goes looking around. He has to walk around and look inside of train cars and train things to find. I'm like, you are brave, dude. This guy is awesome. While he's looking for a train, selfish guy gets out of the bathroom and pushes the train attendant into the zombies to get out because, like I said, he's selfish. So he kills that guy, and then he does the same thing with the cheerleader girl. So she gets bit, and so then the baseball player dude is staying with her, and he's all like, oh my gosh, he's crying, he can't believe it, and she turns in his arms, and then she bites him. So now they're both zombies. So now we're down to the selfish guy, dad, daughter, pregnant woman, train conductor, and I think homeless man. Homeless man's still around, I think. So it's slowly dwindling. There's not a lot of people left. And still, as they're running around, there's just balls of zombie bodies. They run so fast sometimes that they just overrun each other. And it's kind of fun. It's fun. It's not too overdone, and it looks good. And it's really not even a thing of eating people. I think it's more just they just are violent is the thing. So it's not like they really sit around too much and eat people too much. It's more just like this frenzied violence that they have. So the train conductor finds a locomotive, right? And I was like, yes, he's awesome. So he gets it on another track and he's like, cool, everybody get on. They just have the locomotive now. They're abandoning the whole other train. So they're like, everybody just get on this locomotive. Let's get out of here. But the selfish guy is scared and he grabs him and like throws the train conductor to the zombies. And I was like, dang it. So that guy's dead now. So while they're doing all this, a flaming train car, a locomotive comes by and derails and falls over. And then a lot of these carts on this train are zombies and they're like pouring out of the windows. And it's pretty cool. They're like pouring out like just all like, you know, and they pull over and they lean over and they're kind of like trapped. And they got to hurry because like the windows, they can see you. Like the train car's full of zombies and they can see you, so they're freaking out. So they're like pushing on the window. So it's just a matter of time before it breaks. So there's a lot of tension there that's kind of fun. And the dad guy finds a way out. They have to like scoot down, you know, they find a way out. So they're starting to leave and all the debris is coming down and then the windows break. And so the homeless guy sacrifices himself there to buy time for the pregnant woman, the dad, the daughter. And I think that's it. That's all that's left besides selfish man. And so they get out because of the homeless guy sacrificing himself and they get to the new locomotive. So this is a cool scene. They take off in the locomotive and there's a whole herd of these zombies coming after them because they've all escaped out of the train cars. So they're just like crazy. And, which I mean, they gotta be smelling them too. I don't know. They don't really talk about smelling, just sight. But, so they're running. So they're getting on this train car and they're going. And this whole time there's just like a mound of these zombies like running all over each other right behind them, right? And they're kicking off zombies off the train car because some of them are really fast. And this train car's not going super fast yet because it's kind of building up speed. So they're catching up. So now you got the four of them on this locomotive. You got Yon-suk, you got the dad, the daughter, 10 years old. She's doing great. She's hanging in there. She's starting to lose a little bit, but she's hanging in there. And the pregnant wife. They're pushing out all the other zombies off the train. And when they get to the front of, you know, where you drive the train, because they're like, we need to get in there and get safe and things like that, they find the selfish guy. And he's really close to turning into a zombie. He's not looking great. And he's saying that for them to help him. And they're like, oh, what do you want me to do? You're the one who's been throwing people to the wolves this whole time. So they managed to throw him off, which this part kind of irritates me every time I watch the movie. Because I feel like the dad could have done this better. The way that he fights this guy off and like wraps this chain around him, he was like setting himself up to be bit. Like it almost seems too like set up. Like I think he could have done this without getting bit. So the dad is fighting Yon-suk, the selfish dude, and he gets bit. So he gets thrown off, the selfish guy does, but the dad has gotten bit. And this is where it gets pretty emotional. So he knows he doesn't have a whole lot of time. He knows he's been a shitty dad. He knows his daughter's terrified and now she's left with this pregnant woman and that's it. Her dad's going to leave. And he doesn't want to hurt her and he knows he's changing. So he pushes her in with the pregnant woman into the front of the train. He shows the pregnant woman how to operate the train, like how to stop it. He says goodbye really quick and he runs to the end of the locomotive. His eyes are starting to change and he starts thinking about his daughter and he starts thinking about the first time he held her when she was born. And he's just trying to give himself some sort of happy memory to go with. And as he's thinking about that, he smiles and then he throws himself off the train. So now you got Soo-an, which is his daughter, and the pregnant woman, and they get off at Busan. They make it to Busan. And they get off the train and there's nothing around. But there's this tunnel, like a train tunnel. And it's blocked. So that's why they stop, I guess. And they get off and they start walking through this tunnel. And Soo-an is crying and holding the pregnant woman's hand and singing, I think it's a Hawaiian song, if I remember correctly. They can barely see anything in the tunnel. It's a really long tunnel. And at the other end, there's the military. And they have like this wall of like sandbags. And they have like sniper rifles or something and things. And they can see them. And they're like, is that zombies? Like, do we need to take them out? They're not running. I think they're not sure if they want to yell. And then someone's like, well, just take them out. But then they're like, no, it looks like they're okay. Yeah, she's singing Aloha-e or Aloha-o. I don't know, one of that songs. So they're like they're not sure, they're going to shoot them. And then that's when they start to hear the song that Soo-an is singing. And they're like, well, zombies don't sing. So they're like, they're not infected. And that song is one that she wanted to perform for her dad at the beginning of the film in the recital that he missed. Though I think they taped it. But yeah, so she sang that song. So they run towards Soo-an and the pregnant woman. And that's the end of the movie. It looks like there is a quarantine zone, It looks like they're probably going to be okay. Poor little girl is all by herself. Now, they are working on a sequel, which I'm excited. I think it could come out pretty good. I'm excited. I want to see what's going to happen afterwards. I'm not usually big on sequels, but I love this movie, and I think that similar. I think it could be great. According to Wikipedia, it's called Peninsula. It's supposed to show the events 4 years after Train to Busan, and it should come out August 2020. Now, the director does say the movie Peninsula is not a sequel to Train to Busan because it's not a continuation, which is kind of a bummer. I would like to see what would happen to Soo-an after all this, and maybe she'll be in it still. I don't know, but it's more just happening in the same universe now. It's still supposed to be 4 years after, so we'll see, what has happened with all that and how things have changed for these people in the movie Peninsula. So that could be something to look forward to in August 2020. So yeah, that is 2016's Train to Busan. Great movie. Check it out if you haven't. If you like that thing, I think you'll love it. Take care of yourself out there. It's going to be fine. Just be nice. Be kind to people. I'm still looking to come back late April or so with the new episodes of the Good Evening Kitties podcast, reviewing episodes of Tales from the Crypt. In the meantime, you can check out all the other episodes, the reviews. Send me an email at goodeveningpod@gmail.com. Let me know what you're doing during this quarantine. If you're doing anything interesting or learning a new skill or something, maybe I'll compile up an episode and read out different emails or something. And maybe I'll do another review of some sort of movie I love. So have a good one. Check out the movie. Wash your hands. Bye.